Today on Cook's Country, Julia and Bridget make the ultimate New Jersey crumb buns. Adam reviews Nonstick Skillets. And Lan makes Julia a streamlined recipe for cheese blintzes with raspberry sauce. That's all right here on Cook's Country.
New Jersey is the center of the crumb confection world, where crumb cakes, locally known as crumb buns, are bakery standard.
In fact, at Hackensack's beloved B&W Bakery, where they've guarded the crumb bun recipe since 1948, they make an average of 2,000 pounds of streusel each week.
Crumb buns are even embedded in New Jersey history. In the 1960s, there was a bowling league team in Ashby Park called the Crumb Buns.
And in 1974, under the guise of buying crumb buns, two robbers made off with a measly heist of $171 from a Plainfield bakery.
Now, the money was never recovered, but the buns were found by the railroad.
And today we're solving another mystery, how to make great crumb buns at home. So let's head into the kitchen. Sticky buns, cinnamon buns, monkey bread, any kind of coffee cake. Pretty much, I love anything made with cinnamon, especially when it comes to brunch or breakfast. And this sounds like it's, well, right up my alley. It's got soft yeasted cake underneath and a big blanket of huge streusel crumbs on top. I mean, it sounds like paradise.
This is totally your kind of thing. As you know, cinnamon breakfasty things are not my kind of thing.
That's right.
But I love this because it reminds me of my grandmother's kuchen. That bottom layer, that cake layer, is a little bready. It has yeast in it, and it's really strong because it needs to support all those crumbs on top. It all starts with the cake, and that's what we're gonna start with first. Here we have 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. Now, we tried for the recipe for the cake and the crumbs to use as many similar ingredients, so you don't have to buy a lot or prep a lot, but they both need different kinds of flour. AP flour, crucial for here, again, for structure to support the crumbs.
Makes sense.
To this, we're gonna add 3/4 cup of whole milk, just a little bit of sugar. This is a 1/4 cup of sugar, and for a breakfast Danish, that's not a lot. 1 whole egg. And this is a packet of instant yeast, about 2 1/4 teaspoons. So we'll sprinkle that right in. Last but not least, a little salt. 3/4 teaspoon of table salt. We're just gonna stir this together. Just combine them. Just wanna get it a head start before you put it on the mixer. We're gonna put it on low for about 2 minutes or so until the dough comes together. All right, so that dough has come together. Now it's time to add 6 tablespoons of butter, a tablespoon at a time. And I'm gonna wait until that butter is nicely incorporated before I add the next. All right, now I'm gonna crank the speed up a little bit to about medium-high, and we're gonna let it really go till the dough is nice and webby, and that takes about 6 minutes.
All right.
All right, hard to talk over that mixer sometimes.
It's super webby in there,
It is. That's gluten buildup. That's what we want to make a good, strong cake to support those crumbs.
There you go.
All right, time to put it into its pan, and this is just your average 9x13 baking dish. We greased it with some vegetable oil spray. And if you notice, it's a greased spatula. This is a very sticky dough. So do the best you can with your spatula, but you're eventually gonna have to go in there with your hands. The trick to that, a little flour. Just a little flour.
It's like a sweetened focaccia.
That sticky dough makes such a chewy, almost bready cake. And you can see I'm really being careful to keep flouring my hands so that it doesn't stick. The more you can press it out even now, the better off you are, because this is gonna rise, the yeast is gonna work its magic, and when it rises, you don't wanna manhandle it too much because you wanna keep that air in the cake. So now's your time to really get it nice and even. So we're gonna cover this with plastic, let it rise in a nice warm place for about an hour.
All right, and if you'd like to check out the make-ahead instructions for our crumb buns, well, go to our website. That's cookscountry.com.
All right, so while that dough is rising, we're gonna focus on the most important part, the crumb topping. There aren't many ingredients, but the amounts of each really matter. So starting with the butter, this is 18 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter. If you use more, they're greasy. If you use less, they're too hard. Next up, sugar. We tried using all white sugar, too dry. All brown sugar, too wet. Combo, perfect.
Right, Goldilocks.
Exactly. 3/4 cup of dark brown sugar. You could use light brown, but dark brown makes a little more flavor. 3/4 cup of white sugar. Cinnamon, your favorite part.
There it is.
A whopping 1.5 teaspoons.
Love it.
A little salt to bring everything together. This is 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna whisk this together until there's no clumps left and some of the sugar has dissolved. All right, now it's time to add the flour. And remember how I said at the beginning, we're gonna use 2 types of flour. The cake needs AP flour. In here, it just made the crumbs that were way too hard and tough. So you have to use cake flour here.
All right, so all-purpose in the cake, but cake in the streusel.
That's it. And this is 4 cups of cake flour. We're gonna add this and we're gonna stir it together. And this almost makes like a cookie dough. Oh yeah. And it just takes a little bit of time to stir this together by hand. We really gotta work these last bits of flour into this dough. This is the hardest and most important part of the recipe right here. Oh, that's looking good. Now I'm gonna let this sit for about 10 minutes, really let that flour hydrate before we sprinkle it on top of the dough and bake it.
All right.
The cake has risen. This has rested for 10 minutes. It's time to put the two together.
Yes.
So this takes a little bit of time, great time to get your friends involved. Now, if this at this time, you see the dough's pulled away from the sides of the dishes, don't hesitate to get in there with lightly floured hands and really push it back.
Okay.
But didn't happen to us this time.
All right.
So the key is pick up a piece of dough, crumble it into half-inch crumbles or so. And this takes a while because there's a lot of crumb topping.
Well, it's kind of fun anyway.
Totally fun.
Get the kids involved.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't want 2 small pieces.
That's right.
Right. Now, if you'd used the streusel right away without allowing that 10-minute rest, it just would have been too crumbly, falling apart too much?
You know, it's a fairly dry dough when it's going into a hot oven. It would have tasted dusty.
Okay.
So it just allows that flour to hydrate so it doesn't taste so raw.
Right. You know, the good news is it's fully covered, and the great news is
There's
we
more.
have this much more to put on.
It's true.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
This guy is ready for the oven. We're gonna bake it at 350 degrees for about 35 minutes until a skewer can be inserted into the center and comes out clean. Oh, that looks terrible.
You should give it all to me for me to dispose, Julia. Brown and crumbly and oh, yes.
All right, so to test the doneness, we're just gonna poke it with a skewer right in the middle, pull it out, and you're looking for a very clean skewer, no sign of batter or any raw crumb.
All right.
And it is done. It is also insanely hot.
Yes.
We have to let it cool until it's completely cool. That takes about 3 hours. All right, it is cooled and ready to go. Now to get this out of the pan, we're gonna use 2 spatulas, and I'm just kind of shoving them down one side, and then you kind of loosen it.
Oh.
See how that, yeah.
Heavily greased pan pays off.
That's
here.
it. Then I'm gonna slide the spatulas under the cake and lift it out. That's it, and look at that.
Oh, wow.
Easy peasy. Now we're gonna cut into 12 good-sized pieces, and to do that, I'm gonna cut it in half, and I'll just deal with half here. Oh, that looks like a good size. There we
Long
go.
slicing knife is paying off
Oh
there.
yeah, and I'm gonna separate them a little so that when I dust with sugar, it really gets all over. And a little trick with powdered sugar is get a fine mesh strainer, and then you spoon the sugar into the strainer, and then you just kind of hit it over the top,
Beautiful.
and it's snowing.
So we actually tried to figure out what the difference between New York crumb cake, New York crumb buns, New Jersey crumb cake, New Jersey crumb buns are. What we found was a lot of people had different definitions
Yes.
of these 2 desserts. But we're calling it New Jersey crumb buns because we found that in New Jersey it really is all about the crumb. Much lower amount of cake to crumb ratio.
A nice, slightly larger size for you.
These look like crumb buns from Wonderland. You're right. I love that bit of yeast in there. It makes it not too sweet. Actually, the crumb cake itself is not really that sweet at all.
No.
It's just a hint of sweetness. Thank you, Julia. Well, you have got to try these crumb buns. They are A1 awesome. Now, it starts with a sturdy and rich dough. You work butter right into the dough, pat it into a pan, and let it rise. In the meantime, mix butter, 2 sugars, cinnamon with flour, and then break it up into pieces and scatter that all over the dough for a huge blanket of streusel crumbs. Bake it, let it cool, then dust with a snow shower of confectioner's sugar. So from Cook's Country and the Garden State, the most amazing New Jersey crumb buns.
Cheers.
Cheers. Clunk. We'll get you right back to the video. Check out Cook's Country's newest book, The Complete Cook's Country TV Show Cookbook.
Over 16 seasons and more than 600 recipes are condensed into this cookbook, jam-packed with every recipe we feature on the show, plus stories, tips, and reviews.
Go on the road with Cook's Country and tour the U.S. through food. Get inspired by dishes from restaurants, regions, and chefs all over America.
All in this one convenient cookbook.
To order your copy of the Complete Cook's Country TV Show Cookbook, scan the QR code or visit cookscountry.com to continue your Cook's Country journey. nonstick cooking technology may have been around for almost 3,000 years. Now, it's said that the Mycenaean Greeks used ceramic griddles that featured one coarse side and one very smooth side to bake their bread. Well, we've come a long way, and Adam's here to tell us about a more recent advent, the nonstick skillet.
I want to know how long the smooth side of the Mycenaean griddles lasted, because we think that nonstick coatings are not worth a big investment because they are really susceptible to both wear and damage.
Sure are.
So for these 7 skillets here, we set a price cap of $60. That was the top, $32 was the bottom. We got the largest pan that we could from each manufacturer. We prefer 12-inch pans, which you know. However, 2 key manufacturers just make 11-inch pans, so these were a little bit smaller.
Okay.
Now, the testing was extensive. To evaluate their nonstick coatings, testers used each pan to cook eggs over easy with no fat, one after the other, at both the beginning and the end of testing, stopping only when the eggs began to stick. Between the egg tests, the testers used the pans to cook fish and frittatas. They also used each skillet to toast a thin layer of flour just to see how evenly they heated. There were also abuse tests.
I'm sure.
Testers intentionally broke every rule of good nonstick care. They sliced frittatas right in the skillet with a metal knife and removed the wedges with metal spatulas. They stacked the skillets without protection for the finish. They repeatedly shocked them in cold water. They washed them in the dishwasher and with abrasive sponges. They also took them outside and banged them against a sharp concrete ledge to simulate years of bad treatment in the kitchen. Now, in general, nonstick coatings are not made by the cookware manufacturers themselves. They're made by large chemical companies, and the manufacturers will buy them from the chemical companies. They offer basic coatings up to premium coatings, and the cookware manufacturers will choose what version they want based on the price point of the cookware it's going on. Now, also in general, these things are applied in layers, usually 2 to 5. So in terms of the cooking tests, that showed testers that the size, the shape, and the weight were really important. The 2 small pans here bombed because they didn't have enough cooking surface area across the bottom. Fish fillets sort of rode up on the sides. If there was too much stuff sauteing in there, it would all fall together and steam. Not really brown correctly.
Okay.
That was a problem. Testers also didn't like skillets that weighed too much. They found them a little harder to maneuver. I want you to pick up that guy right there.
This is empty, and it's really hard to maneuver. Very heavy.
The good news is you don't have to go to the gym later.
I was going to say, I'm going to work on my delts there.
That one's more than 3 pounds. Some of them were significantly lighter. Try this one.
Very light. You could flip things in it very easily.
It's almost like a feather, isn't it? They also like the shape of pans like this because the sides are flared, they're nice and open, promotes evaporation, easy to get in there with utensils and move food around. They also like the handle on this guy because it was soft, it was grippy, and it stayed cool, which was not true of all of these handles. In the end, testers only wanted to recommend 2 pans, but they really preferred this guy right here. This had 3 layers of nonstick coating. It released 50 eggs beautifully after weeks of testing. One of these pans wouldn't even release 1 egg.
Wow.
It cooked the food beautifully. It released beautifully. This one is the OXO Good Grips nonstick 12-inch open fry pan. It's $39.99. It's got a nice wide cooking surface, flared sides, excellent handle, lightweight so it's maneuverable, and it's our new winner, the only one that got the highly recommended rating.
Well, it's a clear winner. It's the OXO Good Grips nonstick 12-inch open fry pan for $39.99.
Love our in-depth reviews? Get the latest from our reviews team delivered straight to your inbox. Our well-equipped cook newsletter provides top product picks, no-nonsense buying guides, and must-try recipes. No extra fluff, just the smartest ways to shop, save, and cook. Sign up for free now at americastestkitchen.com/newsletter.
A blintz is essentially a thin pancake that's filled with either a sweet or savory filling, and it's sautéed just before serving to get the outside good and crisp. Now, most food historians say that the blintz originated in Central Europe, but most cultures have some version of it. Think of the French crepe. But today, we're focusing on the classic Jewish deli-style cheese blintz with raspberry sauce. And today, Lan's going to show us how to do it.
Hi.
Hi.
So we're making blintzes today, and they can seem a little intimidating because there are a lot of moving parts to them, but
They're really easy. You can stop and start at any point, so they're a great make-ahead item. And we're gonna start with the filling.
All
cheese
right.
Filling. I've got 11 ounces of whole milk ricotta. This filling is normally made with a farmer's cheese, but that can be a little gritty. We like the creamy, mild flavor of the ricotta instead. I'm going to add to it half a cup of confectioner's sugar because it will dissolve readily and it won't be gritty in the filling. And this is 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. It's gonna add just a little bit of tang. And last up, just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt just to season it. Let's just whisk that together. I'm just gonna keep stirring it until it's smooth and I can't see any lumps of cream cheese. While we work on the rest, I'm going to pop this in the fridge, and this you can make 2 days in advance.
Ooh, I like that.
Next up, the raspberry sauce.
Okay.
I've got 10 ounces of frozen raspberries here, and I actually prefer frozen for this. You don't have to clean them, and as they defrost, they kind of fall apart into a sauce almost on their own. To this sauce, I'm adding just a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. It just sweetens it a little bit, and of course, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to season it. Crank the heat up to medium, and I'm gonna stir it occasionally as it cooks. By the time it comes up, it'll thicken slightly, and you'll have a perfect sauce. This is gonna take about 8 minutes. If you wanna check out this sauce, those raspberries have melted down, it's lightly thickened, and I'm just gonna set this aside.
Looks good.
Now we're moving on to the crepes. I'm gonna start with 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and half a teaspoon of salt. Let's just whisk that together. And then our wet ingredients. I've got 4 eggs here. I'm going to add 3 cups of whole milk.
That's a lot of milk.
It is, but we want really thin pancakes.
Right, because a thin batter makes thin pancakes.
Right. Here, I have to whisk a little more carefully. You want to make sure you break up the eggs and there are no streaks so that you don't have weird egg streaks in your Blintzes. This looks pretty great. I'm going to add half of it to the dry mixture because if I were to dump all of this liquid in right now, it would take forever to work out the lumps.
Now you're working that batter pretty hard. Are you worried about over mixing it at all?
Not really. One of the nice things about using so much milk is you don't have to worry about gluten development. They're going to be nice and tender almost no matter what I do. And one of the things that keeps them tender is this butter. I've got 3 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter. This way you don't have to worry about the butter congealing and getting little butter lumps that kind of melt away and leave holes in your crepes.
It's almost like tempering the butter in.
This looks great. I'm going to add the rest.
Here, can I pour it in for you?
Oh, yeah, please.
Trying not to splatter all over the place.
Right. As you can see, this is coming together, and this is it.
And how far in advance can you make this batter?
2 days.
Wow.
Now let's go cook these.
All right.
I've got a 12-inch nonstick skillet here, and I'm going to brush just a tiny bit of melted butter. I've got a tablespoon here, and it'll be enough for all of the crepes that we make today.
So a lot of times you could substitute a traditional skillet for a nonstick, but not in this case.
No, but you don't need a special crepe pan either. We're gonna heat this up at medium. The key to this is making sure the pan is just hot enough and not too hot. So we're gonna make a tester. I've got a teaspoon of batter here, right in the center of the skillet. And we're gonna wait 20 seconds and have a look at the color. So it's been 20 seconds, let's have a look.
Ooh.
Right, just lightly brown, looks perfect. So each crepe is going to require about 1/3 of a cup of this batter. I'm just gonna pour it right into the skillet. And you just wanna swirl the pan and give it a shimmy as you're doing it. That spreads out the batter really nicely. And you don't have to worry about making perfect crepes because we're gonna fold them up and roll them over. And so you can't tell if it's a little spidery or it's not a perfectly round circle.
Ooh.
And as you can see, it's starting to brown lightly. You can see the edges curling away and drying up. And that's a good indicator that it's done or really close. So let's have a peek.
Oh, look at that.
This looks great. I'm not looking for it to be perfectly uniformly browned because they're going to be reheated again and they'll get their color then.
And notice she's not cooking the second side. This is a one side only crepe.
Right, we just want to make sure that it is cooked through so that when I put the next crepe on top, it doesn't stick. I'm gonna butter the pan one more time. You don't really have to butter every single time, especially if you have a great nonstick skillet. It's more insurance than anything. So I'm gonna keep making crepes till I run out of batter. It's gonna make about 12. So our crepes are done, filling's out. Let's make some Blintzes.
All right.
I'm going to start you off with a crepe.
And that's pretty sturdy. I mean, usually you think of a crepe, you think it's kind of delicate. These are easy to handle.
Yeah. Each blintz gets 2 tablespoons of filling, and you want to lay the filling down in a 2x4-inch strip about 2 inches up from the bottom.
Oh, like a little burrito.
Yeah.
Well, and this little spatula is perfect for this kind of work.
Yeah, it allows you to be pretty precise with the filling in a small amount of it.
I've spread mine out a lot more than yours. Is that a problem?
Nope, not
Okay.
at all. So we're gonna fold up the bottom,
All right.
then the sides. And then you just wanna roll it up into a little 2x4-inch packet.
Ta-da!
Perfect.
Easy. So again, we're filling on the non-browned side, so that the brown side of the crepe is on the outside.
Now, we're gonna cook these today, but we could put these in the refrigerator covered for 24 hours, or after you pop them into Zipper lock bags, you can freeze them for a month.
Oh, wow.
It's a nice dessert to have in your back pocket for emergency entertaining.
Yeah, emergency desserts. I like how Lan thinks. Oh, my Blintzes are getting better.
It's like making the crepes. The first one's always a little meh, and then you get the hang of it, and it's really easy. So we're just going to keep going till they're all made. I have 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter here. It's melted, and I've got the heat set at medium. I'm gonna add the crepes, and we're gonna cook 6 at a time.
Well, that's nice, 'cause that means you only have to make them in 2 batches, which is good if you're just about to serve dessert.
So I'm gonna give these about 2, maybe 4 minutes. I'm looking for them to get nicely browned.
And if you notice, Lan put all the Blintzes in the skillet seam side down. That helps seal the seam together so the filling won't leak out.
I'm making sure to leave a little bit of space in between. That just helps them brown a little.
Blintzes need
easily,
space.
Right? And you know how often we say don't touch the food after it gets in the pan? You should totally check these as you go. If there are hot spots or some of them are browning faster than others, you can kind of move them around and make sure they all look great. I'm giving this second side another 2 to 4 minutes. So let's have a peek at the second side. Does that look great?
Those look amazing.
Let's get these out of the pan. I'm gonna give this skillet a quick wipe and get this butter out of there. If I were to continue to cook with this, that butter would start to burn and we'd get these acrid, bitter flavors on our Blintzes. Another 2 tablespoons of butter. So as soon as that butter is melted, I'm going to get the rest of the Blintzes in and we'll cook them through as well. Julia, don't these look great?
They look amazing.
Wait till you taste it.
Oh,
Let's get them out of the pan.
you can tell she worked in a restaurant with her plating skills. That's beautiful.
Time to serve them up. Here's that gorgeous sauce we made
Ooh,
earlier.
it almost looks like a little gem. That's just gorgeous. Can you imagine just pulling these out of your freezer and serving them to someone
Yeah, right.
who happened to stop by? Oh, look at that filling inside. You can see how nice and soft it is once it gets heated up. I love the texture of the crepe, the creamy filling, and then sort of that tart raspberry sauce.
So nice and bright, it just brings out that creamy filling.
Ah, and the contrast of that nice crisp exterior. Lan, these are amazing. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So to make a classic cheese blintz, start by making a quick filling using cream cheese and lots of whole milk ricotta, a simple sauce using frozen raspberries, and an easy batter using just a whisk in a bowl. After testing the heat of this skillet by making a baby crepe, make full-sized ones and be sure to shake the pan just after you add the batter. Saute the filled Blintzes with butter, and there you have it. From Cook's Country, a fancy but very easy recipe for cheese Blintzes with raspberry sauce. If you're ready to take your cooking to the next level, head over to americastestkitchen.com and get a free trial of our ATK Essential membership. While you're there, you can sign up for our free email newsletters and download our app. So, what are you waiting for?